the burden of holding their attention, it's not their responsibility. Their ability to stay focused on you will last anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. That's just a human capacity. And cognitive load on your content also has a finite depth. So the burden of responsibility to maintain and connect with them and engage them is on the speaker, not the audience. Getting up in front of people in your team or talking to one person one-on-one, as soon as you cross that 5-minute mark, you've lost them. They're thinking about lunch or that email or that other thing, because we just functionally can't focus for that long, no matter how interested we are in the topic.
Hello and welcome back to Leading with Integrity, the podcast for the modern people-first leader. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by my next guest, Salvatore Manzi, a seasoned communication coach and facilitator. He's joining us today to share the lessons, the insights from his 20 plus years of experience, guiding leaders from the humble team meeting all the way up to presenting to the United Nations, helping them communicate their brilliance and lead through change. So in this episode, we will be exploring contextual communication, the importance of authenticity, the challenges of leading in the digital age. Salvatore also shares some of his own journey from overcoming stage fright to becoming a global nomad, fascinated with communication and how to build trust, command attention, and inspire confidence in your listeners, your followers, and so on. Whether you are a solopreneur, a brand new leader, or you're a founder or senior director leading a large team, this conversation is packed with valuable lessons, insights, experience, lessons learned, things to help you elevate your communication and your leadership. Do listen to the end for details on how to learn more about Salvatore and his work. Perhaps reach out to him if you would like to know more or if you'd like to work with him. Also, don't forget to come and visit my website. It's leadingwithintegrity.co.uk. It goes alongside this podcast. There's a newsletter companion. There are a few free resources and downloads. There's a quiz to take to find out who your leadership hero is and what some of your bigger challenges as a leader might be. And of course, there is the link to come and join us at Integrity Leaders, the online community for new and emerging leaders working in technical or specialist environments. More on that at the end of the show. And that's enough from me for now, at least. So without further ado, let's welcome Salvatore onto the show.
Welcome to the Leading with Integrity podcast. Leadership talk for the modern manager. With your host, David Hatch.
Salvatore, welcome to Leading with Integrity. It's lovely to have you on the show. Great to meet you as well. And welcome.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, well, we'll try and stay to the script, as it were. We had a lovely conversation in the, what do they call it? The green room? I don't know. Pre-recording anyway, about Star Trek and TV and all that. So sorry, listener, you missed out on that one. But anyway, maybe another time. So, I mean, let's kick off then with, tell us a bit about yourself, your career story so far, what you do today and why you do it.
I love starting here, and I always get perplexed. Where to start? How do you put all of this information into one thing? But you know how oftentimes a person will move into a position at work where they find themselves having to lead meetings or give team updates or go from doing the work to presenting about the work. I help smart people communicate their brilliance and lead diverse teams through times of change and uncertainty. And the way I do that as a leadership communication coach is I use communication strategies to help them elevate the way they are connecting with and leading their team so that their information and insights become more memorable and sticky out there. And one thing I've learned after 20 years of doing this, and I've helped people go from leading team meetings to speaking to the board to speaking in front of the United Nations, is all communication is contextual. It depends on who you're talking to, what you're talking about, and the environment in which you're speaking. And what I found is everybody has some discomfort in one particular context. And so I help them pinpoint that context, use communication strategies so that they can show up authentically and comfortably and share their expertise.
Well, I have to say, I admire the way you've been able to contain that. But then, given what you do, I'll be surprised if you hadn't. But there's some really interesting points in there to pick up on, like communication is contextual. I find that really interesting because I kind of say the same about leadership. It is contextual, it is individual. And I think where leaders, perhaps it's true communication as well, you tell me, but where a lot of leaders go wrong is they try and fit this kind of one-size-fits-all approach, just do the same thing every time in every situation. And that doesn't always work. And again, even down to the individual, like you can't treat every individual the same, because that feels like you're being fair by doing that, but actually it doesn't tend to go well.
Yeah, we inherently mimic the people that we are around. So if we see something that works, we want to take a page from their playbook, and that playbook may not work in the context of the situation. So just because I saw this person lead this meeting and it went really well, may not work with my team or on that topic. And it's important for me to have the agility to experiment and try new things and not get stuck to just checking boxes or like following somebody else's path as I develop my own sense of leadership.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so tell us what drew you to this work originally. Did you go through this particular experience and it's been stuck with you ever since, or tell us the story?
It has. Yeah, first time I was on a stage, my voice began to pitch so high that it started to, and I actually lost my voice. I was on the stage and my mouth was moving, nothing was coming out. And I had to leave the stage humiliated. And it sparked a curiosity in me of how my body could betray me and what was going on for me. My father was a public speaker at conferences, and my mother facilitated team events. And so I grew up watching their enthusiasm and joy from doing those activities. And I was like, that's what I want to do. But when I got up to do it, complete shutdown. And that led me on a path of, I'm a very analytical person, and it led me on a path of like uncovering, like, what is the map here? And I studied the neuroscience and the cognitive psychology around how we communicate, what is driving our desire to understand and connect with each other, and what methodologies work. And I just began experimenting. And I'm also more of an introvert. I would claim to be more of an introvert. So how do I show up in moments where my voice is needed and I have to speak when I don't feel comfortable speaking? So my own path of overcoming that initial shock and horror and overcoming the not wanting to not be seen or not contribute drove me on this path of becoming a communication coach. And you can't lead without communicating. So it kind of blended with leadership. And I started to note and follow what I thought to be good leaders, and started helping a lot of new leaders or people that have been elevated into a role where they're a people leader of a small team or they're leading a project, and using the tools and techniques that I have found helpful. And I've been on that path for about 20 years now.
Going back to the contexts, I can't remember the exact place it was, but public speaking is usually pretty high on lists of people's greatest fears, isn't it? If not the top, I don't know. But so, I mean, that's kind of the obvious context where I can see people need help with this sort of thing. I mean, what are some of maybe the less obvious scenarios that you deal with?
Public speaking is such a big word, and it is something that sparks terror, and most people who have human emotions are going to have. You put yourself in front of a hungry eyes. Like, why are they staring at me? Oh no, how do I perform well? And it brings up when we're in everything about ourselves when we're in front of other people. But communication really is on every level. There's one-on-one communication. Like, how do I get someone to understand me? How do I have a better relationship with my colleague, with my partner, with my community? America right now is very divided politically. How do I have better conversations with people who don't think and believe the same thing that I do? And so a lot of times, and in my work, I do work a lot with analytical, data-driven leaders in the tech sector a lot, but scientists, financial analysts, where they've created this amazing product or this amazing idea that could transform the way we live on this planet, but they have to get it from their technical mind into the non-technical world to find the funding and to get the community and the building. So it's not just public speaking necessarily, but it is also, how do I communicate this amazing idea that I have with somebody else? I mean, maybe you can kind of understand what I'm saying when we all want to be understood by somebody else, and we all want to understand the somebody else as well. And I've lived in a lot of countries all over the world, and noticing how people communicate differently in those has been a really fun science project for myself to find out, how are we communicating? How do we communicate better? Like you and I, like we started talking Star Trek, and even though it's not necessarily I don't have the depth of wisdom that you have about Star Trek. Wisdom may be the wrong word, but there is a lot of wisdom. Star Trek, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But it was something to connect. Once we found that connection, communication was, we had something to build upon, right? So communication is at every level. And I don't mean to in any way denigrate Star Trek or the wisdom from it, because it's up there.
Yeah, no worries. It's, yeah, I mean, you're right, of course. I guess it's how you define public, isn't it, in the public speaking? I think most people are thinking about large groups, aren't they? But then equally, there's a lot of people, as you say, who really struggle with the one-to-one. And that's, I mean, any of these scenarios could be the day-to-day for a leader, couldn't they? So that I can see the connection there very easily. Yes, and then Star Trek, for me, I think that could be a great conversation starter for any purpose. I used to talk about the weather as like the concept of the universal communication, because everyone experiences it. But I'm not so sure about that anymore. I think I'm on the fence about it, because a few people have said to me, talking about the weather makes you sound really boring. So now I'm a bit like doubting myself. And
ouch! Like, don't insult my attempt to with you. That's rude. Yeah. Like, really.
No, they didn't say it in the conversation, but
oh, I see.
Yeah.
I will say, as an introvert, I do attempt to come up with questions to ask people when I know I'm going to be in a social setting. So that I can go beyond, because I keep saying as an introvert, I don't speak for all introverts, but like I prefer conversations that have substance rather than light conversations that don't have any substance. So as long as, if you want to talk about the weather, we'll talk about the weather. As long as it gets somewhere, I'm happy. And there's a lot of fascinating information. Like there's people that their entire life, meteorologists, they're like all about weather. We could talk about weather all day with them. So I don't know where I'm going with this point, but any conversation starter as well. And I will say public speaking is a trigger word for so many people. And too often times I will speak to somebody and be like, oh, I don't do public speaking. No, I'm fine. I'm like, do you communicate with people? Do you ever have an idea that didn't land with somebody else? Do you ever find yourself leaving a meeting saying, oh, I wish I had said? That's the people that I work with.
Yeah, it's quite easy to write that off, isn't it? But you're so right. I mean, and I think the same again is true of leadership. So another thing that I talk about, I mean, a lot of people I talk to, either on the show or just in life, are solopreneurs. They're businesses of one. And so the natural thing is, well, I'm a business of one. I don't need leadership skills. Okay, well, cool. Does your business not deal with any other people? at all, ever. And same logic applies, I think.
I love I don't need influence. I don't need to
Yeah.
I don't need to learn how to connect with and spark insights and create collaboration. I'm no, we are totally interconnected, and our ability to lead our ideas, to lead a project or a concept all the way through to completion, it requires leadership.
100%. 100%. Now, not to veer off on a tangent, but since you mentioned the weather and the fact that you travel around quite a lot, we've got to talk about your lifestyle as digital nomad, because that was quite a fashionable phrase maybe 5 years ago during COVID times. What's it like
So I'm not
today? Well,
oh.
I mean, trendy, you know what I mean? Like on trend, whatever the kids say these days. But I feel like the world's changed quite a lot since then. Has that lifestyle changed? I mean, what's different about it these days?
There's a couple of things. I'm a lifelong nomad, so I was doing it way before these other kids giving it fancy digital nomad names. I've been doing it for about probably 30 years now. And
Wow.
I mean, I grew up in Kansas in the middle of America, and I went to college and stayed in the international dorm with, I don't know, 50 different cultures represented. And I was like, I have to see this, and began a lifelong digital nomad journey. So COVID did change things. It was the first time I ever lived in my own apartment and stayed in a place for longer than 6 months. Nowadays, being a nomad is, for me, it's an absolute adventure. And I started this back when I had to use traveler's checks, and I had to go to the general post office of wherever I was and get Postmaster General to get my mail. And we've come so far. It's easy today compared to back then. I would say things that have changed, though, are that it is, there's more legal requirements around, I have to file taxes. And so I have to have a particular address, and navigating medical care, like having a doctor and a dentist and all those things. I have to have places where I have those set. My insurance is only valid. Health insurance is only invalid in one state in particular, kind of thing. So there's a lot of peculiarities. There's limitations to being a nomad today, even though it has become so much easier. But it is the best life. My client will hire me to come help them present in Chicago. They have a big event. I'll go there. I'll spend a couple weeks working with them. The event happens. I'll just stay in Chicago until my client calls me to New York or to Hong Kong or to Spain or wherever it is that my next client is. And I'll just stay there, linger, and wander around until my next one. So quite a fun life, actually.
Yeah, it definitely sounds it. Definitely sounds it. So pretty well traveled then if you've been doing it for 30 years. Is there anywhere left on your wish list that you've not made it to yet?
Well, I have been studying Spanish quite intensely for the last 3 years, and my hope is to now begin more of a South America, Argentina, Colombia, Peru. I'd like to go visit those countries now that I have that language under my belt. I did live in Italy. I got Italian under my belt and went and lived in Italy. And I love speaking Italian, but not a lot of people speak Italian outside of Italy. So, okay, we need to switch to Spanish. So that's next. What about you? What's on your bucket list?
Ooh, good question. I mean, I've done most of the continents, but not all of the countries I want to. Canada's on the list, definitely. Although it's a massive place, isn't it? So that doesn't narrow it down at all. Doesn't it take 8 hours to get from one end of it to the other as well? So yeah, there's a lot to see there, I'm sure. That would be multiple trips probably. Hawaii is on the list as well, weirdly. Don't know why. Just seems like it might be a fun place to visit.
Highly recommend.
Oh yeah, okay. I'll add that to the evidence list. Yeah. Yeah, and there's places I've already been that I want to go back to as well. That doesn't help at all, does it? Yeah.
I mean, as a nomad, I'm going back to the places I've been before. It's not all new every time. Try to pick a place I haven't been in between two stops and get to know a different culture and stuff like that. Yeah. Hawaii is a great place. And yeah, I haven't actually spent a lot of time in England, unfortunately. I will say this, and it's going to sound kind of crazy, but my thought is to spend time in the places that require a little bit more novelty, because, I'm going to be trying different foods and hiking a mountain and doing these things. And England feels very accessible because I speak English and it's already,
Yeah,
familiar. So I was like, okay, I can do that in my 80s. I'll get there. I'll get there eventually. But
that's fair. That's fair. I mean, the nice thing is it's a lot smaller than the places you're used to, so you wouldn't need a lot of time to do it. Like you could see most of it in a few days, probably.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah. My compatriots will probably be angry with me for saying things like that, but yeah. Cool. All right. So back onto the subject then of leadership and communication. Much as I love talking about travel, well, nearly as much as Star Trek, but on topic, David. Come on. So I think there's a lot of things we already kind of hinted at, touched on already. One of them, I think, is this challenge, this difficulty that a lot of leaders have with getting their point across, achieving that clarity, getting the message, whatever it is, to stick. Why do you think so many people struggle with that?
There's two things I would say. First of all, I've found the smarter a person is, the more challenging it can be to communicate that brilliance. And I'll break it down into this way. When I speak about communications, there's 3 pillars of communications. First is the content, second is the delivery, and third is presence. And so looking at these 3 buckets, each person, when they're communicating, is going to struggle in one particular area. Is the content organized in a way that the brain can actually work with it? And in my book, I have 5 frameworks for organizing your content so that it's guaranteed to connect with and interact and spark engagement with your audience. With delivery, there comes a point where you have to come out from behind the PowerPoint and give meaning to what's going on there. And unfortunately, if the delivery is flat and then there isn't any emotion and there isn't congruence, like, hey, everybody, it's really nice to see you. It's like, you're not even looking at me. Why do you say you're like, there's things about delivery, and this is the art of communications. This is the science of communication. But the real driver is in presence. What are the unique experiences, life experiences? What are your beliefs that are driving the way you show up in that moment where you need to communicate? And this is really where a lot of people will find a value in working with a communication coach, because they can unpack the thing that really got them to where they are isn't the thing that's going to get them to where they want to go. Like, I worked with this one, a brilliant executive at Google who was the most charming person you will ever meet. Like, that was his strength. He knew how to be charming when he'd show up and he would just light up the room. But there wasn't enough substance. There wasn't enough connection to the actual person when it came to it. So like unpacking what taught him to use charm almost as a defensive deflection instead of just being vulnerable and being authentic about how he feels about that situation. So going from performing and charming to being authentic and comfort was the path that we took so that he could nail all 3 pillars in his own. So long answer, but a lot of leaders do struggle to get their point to stick because one of these 3 pillars has some sort of friction point. And once we find that, we can drive it forward.
It was a good answer though, long or not. So charm in particular, I've probably mellowed on it a little bit, like charm, charisma, like words like this. As an employee, I always found those like highly suspicious. It's like, oh, you're turning on the charm. Why is that? What are you trying to hide from me? What's the bad news you don't want me to find out about it? You know, that kind of, and maybe that just said a lot about the culture of where I worked at the time or what I was like in my youth. I don't know, maybe both. Naturally suspicious and cynical, perhaps.
Who hurt you?
Well, this is it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Early bosses probably is the answer to that question. But
Yeah, it's real.
but I think there is something around that where, and we've talked about charisma on the podcast a few times before, but I think charm is subtly different to that, where there are these people in the world, these leaders even, who rely on that ability, which is usually comes pretty naturally to them, to just kind of get their way, have their influence, get whatever it is they're trying to get out of that situation. And they tend to forget that there are other people involved in that situation. And so I think your point about actually being real, being authentic, actually having a proper conversation with people is so important, because it's, to me, it's always been that kind of short term versus the long term in terms of the success that you can achieve in your leadership, in your communication, in your business.
Agreed. And authenticity started showing up, I noticed about 5 years ago, maybe a little bit around COVID. Authenticity became this buzzword. We want authenticity. And then now everybody wants authenticity. And my sense is, with AI coming, it's getting elevated. I would offer that we know how to behave in certain contexts. We're taught, conditioned by our culture, by what we observe, get rewarded or punished. We know how to behave in a particular situation. Is that our authentic self, or are we performing to fit into that particular context? And my goal when I work with someone is to create comfort around authenticity, which sometimes means going outside of your comfort zone because you've been practicing and you perfected this way that you show up in a particular situation that's not necessarily suitable to that situation. So sometimes it's going outside of your comfort zone, trying a new pair of shoes, trying on a new way of showing up until that becomes comfortable as well. So it's also learning the conditioning, but the ultimate goal is, can I be my full authentic self in this meeting with this person while talking about this subject, while leading this team? Can I still be my authentic self from a comfortable place? Because that reads as confidence.
Yeah, I think it does. And I think there's also, I mean, it's interesting you say only the last sort of 5 years or so, because if we look at like authentic leadership as a body of theory, as part of the body of knowledge, I mean, that's been around quite a bit longer than that. Certainly since the early 2000s, maybe even before then. But then I also agree in like the social media, the marketing, the wider kind of usage of the word, it's definitely been co-opted in the last sort of 5 years. To the point now where I think, where it started to lose its meaning, I think, where there's people who are posting things to look authentic, even though that's not who they really are, and they have no sense of the irony of that at all. But anyway, so I think there's a lesson in there about authenticity and vulnerability as well, where it's doing it in a way that's effective for leadership, for communication, for building trust, building relationships, without falling prey to this kind of share everything all the time. Because there should be limits in the workplace, I think. Like being vulnerable about the fact that you're in massive credit card debt, or you're cheating on your spouse or whatever at work, like that doesn't help you. That's not appropriate. Nobody wants to hear about it. Being vulnerable about something that's happened at work, on the other hand, about a decision that you made or something that didn't go the way you expected it to go, or that you're nervous about something, that probably is okay. And I think it's the same with authenticity, isn't it? And social media influencers and so on. Like, I don't want to see pictures of your lunch every day, thanks. That's not authentic to me. No one's interested.
I agree, and I could also push back. There's somebody interested in what Kim Kardashian is eating today. Like they're just fascinated with, like, it's not me for sure. And to your point, one of my clients would said, I don't want you to bring your real self to work. I want you to bring your professional self to work. Like, leave a lot of that other stuff out. There is a line between oversharing, for sure, in there, and authenticity. I think, as we're unpacking this, Seth Godin is one of my favorite thought leaders out there. And he talks about this trend towards everything becoming same. We have somebody discovers something that works, and then it becomes a global, everybody has this thing. And so people started looking for something that was unique, and there was this wave. And same thing with the social media. People started becoming this thing where it became this highly polished image of what we are viewing, and people were like, no, I want the authentic, I want the unpolished version. And I think we're in this weird space. But as AI evolves, people are craving authentic connection. Like you can tell when you get that email from somebody, oh, they used AI to write this, right? And it becomes even more important for leaders to use AI to help them structure their bullet points or help find words or phrases that are going to help them color in, but they have to deliver that. They have to still be the one that gives meaning to the message. And they need to practice doing that, interacting, leading, in order to find their own authentic way of communicating, and then find comfort within that as well. Bit of a
Yeah, I think.
soapbox there.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think AI is accelerating the problem, isn't it, that we're talking about, really, and the fact that it's so easy as well. We're just going to end up with. I mean, you're already starting to see it. It's funnily enough, there's a few like fan groups that I'm a member of with Star Trek and a couple of other sci-fis, and I've been noticing in their feeds of late, across multiple different groups, you'll see the structure, the phrases, the pace of what they're writing, the posts are all the same. And they maybe change 2 or 3 words here to suit a different subject or topic or talk about a different character, but everything else will be the same. And you can tell immediately all of them have used AI. Maybe they've got the same marketing person doing it all for all of them. Who knows? But it's all been in and out of the same thing. There's no authenticity there, apart from to ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess ChatGPT is being authentic, isn't it? But if it can, who knows? And I do think that there's that. Like, I understand as a busy business owner, because we all are these days, the attraction of being able to save that time, take off some workload that you probably don't enjoy doing, because a lot of people don't enjoy writing, for example. I can see the attraction of that, and I use it myself, but I never just put out whatever the output from the AI is without reading it, changing it, personalizing it. And one thing I've found that's it's really bad at, which is my preferred approach to life, frankly, is informality. I like my communication style to be quite informal, to not take myself too seriously. You tell ChatGPT, for example, there are others I know, to produce something that sounds like my informal communication style, you'll get all sorts of horrible stuff. So there's that uniqueness point, isn't there? And I think that's what authenticity is all about. It's about being uniquely you, isn't it? As much as anything else, without the overshare and the just copying the trends and so on.
What I find really helpful to use AI, I use it as a thought partner. I will put in, this is what I want to say, and I'll say, what am I missing? What's an aspect of this that I'm missing? And it is oftentimes brought up a point that I was like, oh, I wasn't considering that, right? Or I'll say, okay, I'm going to be speaking to this group of people, and these are the different players, and these are some of the things going on in their world, and this is what I intend to say. What am I missing? What else could I say? What would land better? And it will give me ideas. And so, to your point, I will use it to accelerate what used to take maybe 8 hours of creative brainstorming and writing, and all that is now condensed to 1 hour. And thank you, this is great. But my goodness, never take it straight from ChatGPT and deliver it. That would be awful. It'd be so bad. And to your point too, like if I tried with ChatGPT to get it to learn my tone of voice and everything. And I don't know if anybody else has had the experience, but it's like, okay, Chat, we talked about not doing this and you just do it. You are so right. You told me and I misled you, and I promise I'm not going to do that again. And I'm like, okay, here we are again.
It gaslights you 100%.
AI is gaslighting us.
Yeah. I don't want to talk it down because it is a cool bit of technology, But like with any tech, any tool, you've got to understand how it works before you can use it effectively. So I don't use it anywhere near as much as I used to anymore. I went through a phase of about 6 months. I experimented with it a lot, tried to figure out what it could do, tried to break it. And what I learned from that, and it's probably changed since, but I'm stuck in my ways now. If you want it to do anything that involves attributable facts, references, like actual reliable truth, you're kidding yourself. It won't do it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm told there are other models than ChatGPT that are slightly better at this. I've tried a few, like Perplexity is quite good. Never used Grok,
Yep.
not touching that. The Google one, I can't remember what it's called. Gemini is quite good. Although, yeah, they've all got their pros and cons. But yeah, I mean, I went through a loop with ChatGPT. So as an experiment where I already knew what the reference was. So I said, okay, this is what I'm writing about. I'd like you to find me some references about this and then give me the link so I can verify it. And it just invented URLs. So they'd never existed.
Wow.
So if that hadn't been checked, if people had just put that out without reading it, yeah, that's the worry for me is it doesn't have a concept of truth because that's not how they work. What they're doing is trying to predict what is the average, most likely next word or phrase based on the question you've asked, because it's about repetitive machine learning, like it's probabilities and outcomes. It's not absolute truth, facts, correct answers. It's predictive.
Yeah. Predictive. And what I do is I pit one against the other. I'll use Chat and then try it in Perplexity and then Claude. And if all three of them come up with a similar, I'll use, okay, now I trust what's coming out of it because I got three references. I just started using Gemini as well. But I love talking about that predictive. This is a fascinating thing about communication for me that really helped me understand how we understand each other. Our brains are basically built to predict what's next. And this is one of the reasons why when COVID happened, we all went into the Zoom boxes. We had so many Zoom fatigue and all these things because we're used to one-on-one facial recognition and facial prediction. I'm watching your face to predict where the conversation is going. And in this box and with a delay and people not looking at the camera but at the screen, we don't have that same connection. Our brains went into prediction error after prediction error and we called it Zoom fatigue. It was literally brain fatigue from that. But this happens in meetings as well. Like I work with scientists and analysts that are talking about very complex things that don't have easy answers. And when they want to go in, people want clear certainty, and it's not available when there's complexity. And people are looking to predict where you're going with this. And rather than giving people all the answers, if I can communicate with clarity about the path we're taking, about what we know and what we don't know, about what we anticipate, that helps the prediction trigger of the brain calm down and be receptive to what the person is saying.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And I've kind of been on both sides of that conversation myself, where you've got like the technology, the complex problem, and the specialist who understands it like back to front, like the back of their hand and all the other cliches. And you can, when you're on that side of the conversation, you understand like this isn't a black or white. There's lots of grays here. There's many different versions of grey as well. So we have to choose which one we like best or which one we think we're going to try this time. But from the leadership, the decision-making side of the table, you want clear, simple, maximum like 3 or 4 options. And you want to be able to tell the exact differences between those options. And then you can just pick what you think is the best one. And there's a natural conflict in that situation between those two sides of it. So it's a really interesting communication exercise and a challenge. And yeah, I mean, what are your top tips, I guess, for people who are trying to turn that complexity into clarity, and then also for the people who want that clarity, and how can they better deal with the gray?
I love these questions, and there's so many things I want to unpack. From a leader perspective, when someone comes to you and asks for more transparency, what I've noticed leaders tend to do is like, well, there's things I can't tell you. That because it all of a sudden becomes this idea of like, you want to know everything that's happening and we can't tell, obviously include everybody in every decision, blah, 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 blah. What people are asking when they're saying we need more transparency is we need to understand how the process is moving. We don't need to know everything about it, but if you can provide me with some clarity around how decisions are being made, what is known, what isn't known, we can move forward. So to anybody out there who's faced with somebody coming and go, we need more transparency from leaders, know that what they're looking for is for a simple sentence that starts with, well, here's what we know, and here's what we don't know. Here's what we're working on, and here's what I believe. Here's what you can do, and here's what we anticipate this is going to turn out. Boom, clarity is restored in that regard. I'll pause there and let you reflect on that before I get into how to communicate around complexity, because that's a whole wheelhouse right now.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, looking forward to that, actually. I agree with you. And that phrase became something of a trigger, I think, for a lot of people. There's things I can't tell you, because it sounds defensive. It doesn't sound honest. And it's a way of avoiding answering the question. Because the truth is, like in most businesses and most situations, there's very few things that you literally can't tell people, that you're just not allowed to. Things like, personal issues, like confidential information, security stuff, maybe like pay scales, health concerns, that sort of stuff. Of course, you're not allowed to say that. What you can do, though, is say, I can't tell you about that because this is why, because it's confidential for that reason. So you don't have to go to the immediate deflection response. But I think a lot of times that's what it is. Like, people hide behind it because they don't want to answer the question, or they don't want to have to think about it.
And it's, once I tip my hat, how far am I going to tip my hat? How much do I have to tell? And this is stuff that's still in progress. If I tell you now, it's going to lead to more conversations in the future to clean up what I said. So I get the need to not tell someone everything that's going on behind the scenes. But what they're asking for is not to know all of that. They're asking for a connection and clarity, and to know that they're still safe in what is happening here, and that you're connected with them. So that I can't tell you about what's going on. It's not helpful moving forward. All right, let's switch to talking about complexity. And I heard this story analogy recently where complicated is like a watch. There's a lot of moving parts, but you can put them together in a certain sequence and then create a watch. So that's complicated. Complex is multiple variables, all at a different status, that are moving to influence one outcome. That's complexity. And complexity is difficult to communicate, whether it is all the factors coming into the project that you're working on, all the diverse opinions on your team that are coming together to collaborate. Complexity provides challenge when it comes to communication, because people want simple, clear answers. One of the best ways to tackle complexity is to use an analogy or a metaphor, like I just did. One of the easiest ones to use is a restaurant, because almost everybody has eaten in a restaurant. So explain your project in terms of a restaurant. Well, imagine you're at a restaurant and your waiter is going to several different tables, and you can play out what's going on with your project using this analogy and discuss the many different variables at play. People will get it, because here's the problem. Our brains are not precision recording devices. You can give me all the data. You can give me that PowerPoint slide with all the bullet points. It's not going to move the needle. It's not going to convince me. It's not going to sell me on the idea or cause me to take action. If you can create a visual using a metaphor or an analogy, then I can conceptualize, I can see that's the way the brain works. Visual, emotions, this is how the brain works. And that's when I can engage with your topic, and I can turn the complexity of what you're trying to share into something that I understand and begin working with it. To give you a quick metaphor, it's the difference between showing someone a blueprint and showing someone the image of the house. the blueprint is technically correct. It's all the data, it's all the analytical, it's all the information, but it's the picture of the house that, I get what it is now. That's what we want to do when we have something that's complex and we want to communicate. Use an analogy or a metaphor.
I like that, yeah. And great analogies and metaphors as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think it's making it relatable, isn't it? It's putting it in terms the other person can understand. And I think that's the real trick of any communication, isn't it? In any sort of scenario. And I think so I was talking to someone else last year who also had a background in communication. And one way that he described it that I really loved, and it stuck with me ever since, is like the burden, the responsibility for understanding doesn't sit with the recipient, it sits with the person doing the communicating. And I think that has completely changed the way I think about how I communicate ever since. And I think it's very similar to what you're saying here as well, in terms of finding a way that they will understand it, because the onus is on you. If you want them to understand it, you've got to put it in terms that they can.
And I would add one more layer to that.
Please do.
The burden of holding their attention, it's not their responsibility. Their ability to stay focused on you will last anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. That's just a human capacity. And cognitive load on your content also has a finite depth. So the burden of responsibility to maintain and connect with them and engage them is on the speaker, not the audience. Getting up in front of people in your team or talking to one person one-on-one, as soon as you cross that 5-minute mark, you've lost them. They're thinking about lunch or that email or that other thing, because we just functionally can't focus for that long, no matter how interested we are in the topic. So we've got to stop ourselves and create engagement technique or some form of engagement to keep their focus and interest and create that alignment connection that leads to collaboration and eventual awesomeness.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I think the only thing that slightly surprises me is that it's as long as 5 minutes, to be honest.
It's 3 to 5.
Well,
3 to 5
seconds, maybe.
Yeah.
I could see.
I've watched the research studies, and if a person is live in person with somebody, it can go as far as 7 minutes. You can hold someone's attention for 7 minutes in person. Online, it drops significantly. I think it's 3 to 5 minutes, and it's somewhat based on their interest already in the person or the topic that gives them that ability. But after 5 minutes, man, you've lost everybody in the room.
I mean, it seems like there's an obvious answer to this question that I'm just missing. But why do you think it is different online? Because it shouldn't be. I mean, you can still see each other. It is a form of face-to-face, isn't it?
I judge we're adapting to it more now, but in the beginning, I'm getting a postage stamp of you right now. I can't see the rest of your world. And what you can't see is all the things going on in my world. So I have a million distractions happening right now that you aren't aware of. And you as well have that. If we're in person, like I'm getting the full nonverbal communication from you, as well as we're both in sync with our environment. So I think that's what causes the friction. Plus, if you're on a computer, you're getting notifications, you got other things on your screen, your Slack is blowing up. Like there's a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible to turn those off though.
Yeah, you're going to ask people to turn that off. A lot of people won't even turn on their camera. And I'll tell you this, if you don't have a camera on while you're communicating with somebody, you're missing the opportunity. You are missing the opportunity. And don't just blur out all the background, because talking about authenticity, don't get me on a roll here. I will go there. The thing is, if you have a blurred background, the brain is a problem solver. So you are talking and you're giving me great information, and my brain is trying to work out what is in that blur. There's something. And when they move just a little bit, I get a snippet Wait, you were talking about something. What were you talking about? Oh, they moved again and I see it. So like the blurred background is actually a distraction for who you're talking to. And I get it. We have situations. I'm a nomad. You wouldn't believe some of the places that I'm zooming in from. There are situations where you need to blur. Like that would be more distracting for you to see it than not. I get it. I'm not saying never use it, but be conscious of it. And if you are using a blurred background, you need to keep yourself in a rather stiff or still position and only keep your hand gestures within your body. I could go on a tear here. Could go on all the way there.
I think it's a problem with the modern age, isn't it? The whole Zoom etiquette of it. We shouldn't really call it Zoom etiquette anymore, is it? Because Zoom's like one of about 1 million options at this point. But I think I can see both sides of the story with this one. So the blur in the background thing, for example, during the COVID years when people were working from their homes, if they weren't fortunate enough to live in a place big enough to have a dedicated room for work, they were probably doing it in their bedroom. And they didn't want everyone looking at their washing or their wardrobe or whatever. Totally fair enough. And that's probably still the case today. You can maybe like gloss over it by saying, look, the reason my blurred background is on is because of this. And maybe that can stop people focusing on it. But I don't know. And then the turning your camera off thing as well. Like I go back and forth on this as well. Like I was having a conversation with a friend of mine only 6 months ago because we were in a meeting together. Someone showed up late and they had the camera off and they wouldn't turn it on the whole meeting. And we're like, that's a bit rude, isn't it? Like this is how we're supposed to build relationships with clients if they won't even show their face. But then also, again, like people with circumstances, like a lot of introverts, for example, hate having their cameras on. They don't want to do that. It feels invasive. They don't want to invite colleagues into their homes virtually. And I get that as well. So yeah, it's a tough one. I don't think there are any easy answers is what I'm saying.
There's no easy answer around this. And I'm definitely not going to insist that anybody do any one thing. You need to do what's right for you and be cognitive. Like the responsibility of communicating lies with the speaker, not the receiver. And if I want my message to come across clearly, I need to think of all of the elements that are all the variables that are contributing to my ability to connect with and inspire and create that clarity with somebody.
Absolutely. So on a slightly different note, you mentioned this earlier on, this idea, this concept of leadership presence. So I think this is a bit of a potentially controversial concept anyway.
Okay.
So I think to me, it has become a bit of a buzz phrase of a kind of, in sort of a promotion conversation, it's an easy out. It's like in the hiring, they have we don't think there's a culture fit. That kind of the catch-all, so I don't have to justify my decision. Just don't think you've got enough leadership presence. And it's vague enough, but it sounds specific enough that you can get away with using it to justify not promoting someone, right? Like that's kind of in my head what I think about it.
On the same page. Same page. I can't even tell you the number of times someone has called me and asked me to work with somebody on their team who just doesn't have a leadership presence. And for me, it's the same as when somebody uses the word interesting. You should never leave the word interesting alone. It doesn't say anything. It's a throwaway. Yeah, we were going to catch you on it today.
Have you not noticed? I've done it like 50 times this episode.
Oh no! Now we're going to go back and count them or something.
I'm going to cut them all out.
Same
in the
thing
edit
when
now.
when somebody says they don't have the presence or we need more presence. Drill down. What does that mean? And whenever I'm coaching on somebody, I always ask them, who do you look around the room and say that person has presence? Great. What are they doing? What are the behaviors? What are they saying? How are they showing up? That gives you their sense of presence. We all know that person that walks in the room and lights it up. They have a sense of presence. And presence is something that is felt before you open your mouth. It's what people feel from you when they first see you on the Zoom screen, or what they feel from you when they first see you in person in that meeting room or whatever it is. That's your presence. And that presence is what influences their ability to connect with you, their certainty around your credibility, their immediate judgments about your authority on this topic. That is what presence is. I worked with a client I won't go into details, but they kept using the word gravitas. Yes, well, this person just lacks the gravitas that we need in this organization. And I'm like, well, what does gravitas mean? Well, who has gravitas? Well, how would you describe gravitas? And when I pushed them on it, they had to be like, well, you just know it when you know it. And I'm like, yeah, but how do you teach someone to have gravitas when you can't identify what it is? If you're going to lead a team, you need to be able to identify their strengths and opportunities. So simply a dismissive, leadership presence is missing, is not a suitable, helpful thing. I agree. This is all to say I agree. And it's a very interesting point that you're making.
I'm glad we agree. I once had somebody describe gravitas to me as having a deep voice.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's what it is. It's the deep voice. That's
at which point I was like, brilliant. I'm sorted then. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? Like, if you're going to measure people on things, you have to define what those are and then communicate what they are to those people. Like, you wouldn't do that with anything else. Like, well, maybe people would. I don't know. Sales, for example. Like, are you going to say you're measured on your sales results and then not tell them what the sales results looked like? Like, what is specifically? Is it number of sales? Is it total value? And so on and so on. You can't expect people to work towards a target if you don't tell them what it is. And that's where I feel like this concept is really unfair to a lot of people.
I agree. And I struggled a long time when writing the chapter in my book on presence. Like, how do I define presence? And how do I communicate with somebody else what leadership presence is? For me, it's three things. It's how does a person project the confidence? How do they command attention? And how do they inspire trust? Trust, commanding attention, and projecting confidence. And I'll break down each one with one little maybe segment to bring it to life. A person projects confidence in the way that they appear composed or not composed. Are they quick to respond? Are they reactive? Or do they take in what's being said and then respond to that, staying connected with the person that they're talking to? That's confidence. And a tip that anyone can use right now is just move a little bit slower than anybody else in the room. If you want to appear confident, simply move a little bit slower than anybody else in the room, and you will appear to be the most confident person in that room, period. Second category is commanding attention. And with commanding attention, there's a number of different ways that a person can command attention. One is just in the space that you're taking up. Like, how much space are you taking up? You can't command attention when you're talking like this, a little mousy kind of thing. You can't command attention. And there is a place for this. When someone is getting vulnerable and sharing something very painful, it's good to shrink down and to create space for them to open up. But if you want to command attention, you need to be able to take up space and make sure that people see you, see your body, feel your voice, feel your intonation. And then third is inspiring trust. And this is something that comes in time, but it shows up very quickly. And you brought it up earlier. When a person their personal life is a mess, it's going to influence how they show up and the trust that they inspire from others. I can't expect my colleagues to trust me with the team budget if I'm going through bankruptcy right now. Like, there's a disconnect there. And that's going to create an internal disconnect that's going to prevent me from showing up fully with presence, because I know this part of my own life is a little bit of a mess, but yet I'm doing it here. And so I don't have. So do you trust yourself Do you have self-awareness enough about yourself that you can trust yourself? And are you building that trust with others by being aware of what's going on in the room as well? So projecting confidence, commanding attention, inspiring trust are 3 levers to create a sense of presence in a room. But very simply, to anyone out there, I would just say, look around and ask yourself, who has presence? Who has gravitas? And what is it that they're doing that causes you to give them the idea of having presence? What is that construction for you? And then see what can you add to your repertoire, because I follow the rule of spot it, got it. If you can spot somebody else exhibiting a behavior, that means you've got the ability to do it yourself. You just need to step up courageously and try it. So make a list of who you see as having great presence, note the qualities that convey that presence, and then begin integrating that sense into your own life.
I like all of those. I think the confidence one, I think is worth exploring further, because to me, a lot of the time, confidence is in the eye of the beholder to a great extent. For example, we've talked about introverts a fair bit over the course of this conversation. One of the classic assumptions, particularly when we're talking around things like leadership presence, however it's being defined, is extroverts appear more confident and often more composed, and they often don't struggle to get the attention of a room, for example. But the truth is, a lot of the time, an extrovert is actually displaying a lack of confidence in the way they're communicating, because their natural way of processing things is verbally. They're lacking confidence in something, they're verbalizing it, whether it's conscious or not, whether it's a deliberate attempt to cover up their lack of confidence. I mean, that's a separate conversation, isn't it? But that can very easily be perceived as all sorts of things. Confidence is one of them. Leadership is another, which really winds me up when that happens. No, they're so outgoing. They're a great leader. It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
Please stop saying that.
No.
But you see where I'm coming from, I think, because on the other side of that, the introvert sitting quietly, just absorbing what's being said, in a lot of the times, and certainly in my experience, that quiet person in the corner is the most confident person in the room, because they don't feel the need to show off, to show what they know, to verbal diarrhea or whatever else. They can just sit there and absorb that information. They don't feel that pressure to stand up and be loud, frankly.
I 100% agree with you that confidence is not measured between introvert and extrovert. And your
it was an example
descriptions of
yeah.
And I would argue, though, and I would also agree that confidence is going to be judged by the receiver. They're going to determine how confident they judge you to be, and that's not the goal. My goal is not to get somebody to believe that I have the confidence that I have. The goal is to feel that I have that confidence in myself, to establish that I don't have to quickly respond to what this person is saying. I don't have to react to what they're saying. I can take a moment, compose myself. I have the confidence in myself to find the answer. I have the confidence in myself to navigate this situation rather than react to it. When I have the confidence in myself, I can project that outward through my composure in the situation as a simple way of demonstrating my confidence. And if someone deems me as not having confidence, I don't give a toss. I don't.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. No, I'm with you there. I'm with you. I think by the same token, the commanding attention, again, a lot of people, like the extrovert in the room, is naturally going to think that means I need to bang on the desk. I need to be vocal and loud and shouty. But again, sometimes like the most effective people I've seen at getting the attention of the rooms are the one who will just sit there and say nothing until people realize that they've said nothing for like 10 minutes. So they shut up and listen.
Yeah. It's not commanding attention to quickly grab someone's attention. It's commanding attention to be able to keep a sustained engagement and conversation going. It's not just in that spark of getting attention, it's commanding attention.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead, break
Love
down
that.
trust. What do you have to say trust? I love
Yeah.
this. Can I say, I love the term winds me up. It's such a great,
It's very
it
British.
really winds
Yeah,
me.
it's very
I
British.
love that.
It's
I
a
love
polite way
that
of saying
term.
pisses me off, isn't it? Like,
I'm going to use winds me up today. We'll find a way.
lovely. Trust, I think, is a given for leadership.
It's yeah.
By which I mean, if you don't have it, you can't lead, or rather, nobody will follow. Yeah, I don't know. I think my slightly controversial take on trust is about, again, it's kind of what we were talking about with communication earlier, about where that responsibility lies. I think there's a lot of leaders, and I've had this conversation from both sides, where they say, "Oh, I'm not going to let I don't know, Johnny or Jill do this bit of work because they've not earned my trust yet. I don't trust they can get it done." And I think that's backwards. That's the wrong way to look at it, because if you want to establish trust, first of all, you've got to recognize it's a two-way street. And secondly, in the leader's position, you have to trust first, because that's within your gift, not theirs. So if you never trust them with something, then they're never going to have the opportunity to earn your trust for the next thing, to put it in those terms.
Someone described that trust is like marbles in a jar. Every time you say something and you follow through, I have a marble, I put it in the drawer. And this is the jar of trust I have for you, right? And then you just betrayed me. I'm going to dump that out and we have to start all over again from that. That's how it works. That's how trust works. And to your point, if I'm leading someone and I don't trust them, I need to figure out where is the limit of my trust and delegate to that point, giving them just a little bit more leeway each time so that I don't betray my own sense around what's going on here, but I don't limit their potential because of my short-sightedness. So if I say I don't trust somebody on my team, what do I trust them with? And do I need to say, okay, I'm going to give you this project and I want you to check in with me in 2 days on this space so that I feel like we're aligned in where this is actually going. Maybe, can you trust them for 2 days on this thing? Can you trust them for a week? Can you trust them with this part? Do that little bit and you can build that trust mutually. And to your point, it does go both ways. And I judge, too oftentimes people, I work with clients who are doing a culture shift. We are doing a culture shift in our organization. I'm like, okay, how's that look? And the problem is you come up with these great ideas of what our new culture is going to look like. Everybody else is like, I'm going to wait and see. And we're going to see how that looks. And, you just didn't do what you said you were going to do. Are you going to own up to that? And yeah, anyway, not to get too off topic, but yeah.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. And I think there's another, I think you've exposed another assumption there about trust as well, that it's on or off, that it's binary. It's very much not. Like it's more of a gradual slope, isn't it? Or it should be if you're doing it effectively. Yeah. It's a lot of myths and misconceptions. Interestingly, on our conversation about like remote work and virtual meetings and things, I feel like the times I end up talking about trust the most in the last sort of 5 years or so is in that sort of remote/return to office kind of conversation, where people are like, I just don't trust they're working when I can't see them. And you just, I'm so glad I don't work for you.
What is the message behind that, honestly? Like, yeah. But I mean, I've been on the other side.
Yeah.
I have been on the other side where I hired a contractor to do some specific part of my business. And they present me with the invoice at the end of the month. And I'm like, yeah, but do I trust that they really took an hour to do that? Like there's this part of me that's like, I don't know, kind of a thing. So I think the problem is when we measure value according to time, trust becomes a challenging factor, because I've seen people that work this fast and people that work this fast, and I have an idea of how long this should take. So do I trust that they're working? Like, I think I have to resort to, are they making the deliverables in a high value way? And then let's create a set point for that individual person and mark them repeatedly against that. And then we can establish trust. But yeah, to your point, the whole like we need to see you online, and people were creating those machines that would move the mouse so it looked like they were working, and like,
Oh, don't even get me started on the monitoring software that some companies were putting on people's computers. I mean, it's an invasion of privacy. Apart from anything else, like I'm not even sure it's legal in the EU and the UK. Like, but anyway, bringing it back to trust, just to tie that off. You're absolutely right. And I think the thing with that is, particularly in like an employer-employee relationship, like if you don't trust your people, forget about time. Totally agree with you there. You should be measuring on output and or value they're providing to your business. If you don't trust them to get that work done, sometimes it might be a them issue. If it is, whether they're remote or in an office makes no difference. They're going to like take advantage or whatever it is you think they're doing. Either way, they'll find a way. People do. If it isn't them, if it's not that rare bad actor, it's probably a leader problem. It's a you problem, isn't it? Like, why don't you trust them? Is it something about you? Have you hired the wrong person for the job? Are you not confident with their skill set? Does it not quite fit? Is there a culture thing going on? Is it just in your own head and you've got something that you need to work through? It's so easy to just not apply any self-awareness and just make it their problem. And I don't trust them. Therefore, I don't care if they've been working really well 2 years remotely. I want them back in the office where I can see them because it's a trust issue. It's just so toxic. It's
so toxic. Yeah. I mean, when a leader does come to me with that, I say, well, what's your part in this? Are you not confident in your ability to delegate? Are you not confident in letting go of control? Are you like, what's going on in your world that's creating this sense of distrust of them? And what can you do to work on that? At the very minimum, come up with what is your window of grace and set a boundary, a known expectation around your ability of how far you can let this go, and mark it yourself and then come up with it. That way you're not perseverating about it all the time, because I'm sorry, 90% of the stories we make up about other people are not true, and they're based on our own perception of our world, it projected onto theirs. And I don't know. We can get into conversations and conversational frameworks, and that's where the real art of communication becomes so much fun. So
that's funny, actually. Without wanting to be unkind to leaders or people who have been through this kind of situation, the projection thing is so spot on. If you're saying people who work from home aren't really working, what you're saying is when you work from home, you're not really working. Because you've never been in their home, you've no idea if they're working or not. It's about you, isn't it? Anyway, that's at least I hope you've never been in their home. That'd be weird.
Yeah, I won't go there.
There's a whole HR issue there if you have, I think. Anyway, yes, let's not go there. Let's move on. We've talked about some pretty common mistakes already, haven't we? So we can probably skip that one. What I would be interested to hear, though, is what's the most important leadership lesson that you've learned in your career so far?
The most important leadership lesson I've learned, I'd offer two. I'd start with this, and that is that every voice needs to be heard, but not every voice needs to be heard by everybody. To unpack that a little bit, if I'm leading a team, until every voice has contributed to the conversation, I'm missing the mark. I don't have true collaboration. I'm not reaching the potential of that group. And as a leader, I don't need to let each person speak until they're finished. That'd be exhaustive. But I need to create a situation where they're communicating with each other, and then creating a small group, and then communicating, allowing the best to get lifted up. So a lot of times as a leader, my job is in navigating, facilitating a conversation that starts individually. Write down your thoughts, turn to a partner, share the best thoughts, turn to two groups that come up with your best thoughts. Now everybody share. That's how you get every voice in the room, but not every voice being heard by everybody.
I mean, the collaboration point, if you're not giving every voice that opportunity, so 100% with you.
And the second thing I would say, leadership lesson that I learned is, for me personally, speak before it feels comfortable. I want to take time to analyze, think, unpack, process internally. I'm more internally focused like that. And before I respond, and I oftentimes will miss the moment, especially in a dynamic, extroverted environment where extroverts can quickly take all the air out of the room. And I too oftentimes left a meeting where I was like, oh, I wish I'd said. And I forced myself to speak before it felt comfortable. When I speak before it feels comfortable, I'm able to get the ball rolling. I don't have to have the most insightful thing come out of my mouth first, but if I can start the conversation, it gets ball rolling, and then I can contribute, get my voice in those environments where I sometimes don't feel like I'm getting heard.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said for getting out of your comfort zone in a lot of arenas, aren't there? But as a semi-introvert myself, yes, I resonate with that statement. And I've totally walked out of rooms and been like, oh, why didn't I say that? Oh, never mind. Probably wouldn't have listened anyway. And then you rationalize it to yourself. One of the questions to which I think I get the most interesting answers is this next one, which is, what is your best memory of being led?
Yeah, I love this question because it's something that I realize I don't spend enough time thinking about. I don't spend enough time thinking about the leaders who I admire in terms of what it was that they did that I admired. I have a list I could name the leaders. I have images in my head of them because I have good feelings from being with them, from being led by them. But I don't always stop and think, like, what was the best memory about being led by them? And I would offer, like, when I do think about this, I think about a leader who didn't tell me what to do, but asked me questions and thereby engaged a deeper connection until I found my way there. And, there are times that I need you to just tell me what to do here. I don't know what to do here, right? But this particular leader gave me a project, and when I ran into a wall, she would ask me questions that would inspire me to find and find out how far I could go. Like, okay, well, then I would ask a question, can I try this? And it would created a thought partnership. It created a sense of trust. It created a sense of free to be myself and try things at work. And I think she elicited the best work out of me because of that. And I became a coach mostly because of that experience. Because as a coach, my job is not to tell you how to get from here to there. My job is to ask questions to help you find the best in yourself to get out of where you are to get where you're going.
That whole coaching leader who coaches approach, the sort of the leading with curiosity, asking questions. I think it's really powerful, primarily because of the feeling you described as the person following that leader, because you come out of it with that sense of accomplishment. Like, I figured that out myself. Okay, there were a few questions that guided me in the right direction, more or less, but you feel like you've achieved it yourself and you didn't have to go begging for the answer. And I think that's really important for people that sort of autonomy and confidence as well for the future. So the next time you face a task, maybe you'd be bit more confident about trying to figure it out on your own, and you wouldn't have to always go and ask for help. And that all of these things, I mean, there's the cliche, isn't there, about teaching a man to fish, right? That whole proverb. It's that sort of logic. But I think it's also quite impactful for the leader too, because sometimes there'll be answers that you didn't expect to the questions you've asked, and then you've learned something as well.
And I had a leader who would pose what seemed like an obvious question to the group. And sometimes it seemed so obvious that no one wanted to answer it, but then we got used to that reputation. And why are we doing this? Well, everybody knows why we're doing this. Why are they asking us? And then somebody would say it. And then what happened is it created more buy-in. The more times that leader asked the obvious question, it caused the team to get closer together because we became more cohesive. We weren't simply following marching orders. We were following a collective focus of where we wanted to go.
Yeah, the sort of rhetorical question that isn't really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay, 2 questions left for you. These are the fun ones now. So the first of them is the time travel question. If you could go back and start your career over again, is there anything you would do differently?
No. Of course I would. I want to say that I have no regrets. Every mistake I made was a learning opportunity. So I don't regret the things that I went through. Would I have made some different choices? 100%. A few things that I would do differently. One is I learned late in life how to assume positive intent. And I too often took somebody's behavior or actions or decisions as a personal attack when it had nothing to do with me. And sometimes they were just having a bad day and it had nothing to do with their reaction to what I said. It had nothing to do with what I was talking about or me. But I didn't learn how to always step back, not take that personally, and assume positive intent and follow up with curiosity to find out what was really going on behind it. I don't know if it's just age, wisdom, experience that's helped me get on the other side of that. I set out the 4 agreements. I set out at an early age not to take things personally. And, it was good on paper, but it was slow to reality in my life, I would say. So that would be one thing I would do differently. I think the other thing that I would do differently is to, earlier on, I was quick to take a big swing at things. And in the sense of when I would see something was going wrong, I would come in with the solution. Here it is. Oh, I can see the problem and here's the fix. And yeah, I was right, but people don't like that. People want to be brought along the journey. People want to feel like they're part of the solution, not just being told what the solution is and how to do it. So if I could go back and redo a number of conversations in different conference rooms where rather than just saying, well, here's the answer, I'd say, well, let's talk about how we could move in this direction and guide or lead the group to the solution that I had in my mind. That's what I would do differently.
Yeah, I think both of those are very human characteristics, aren't they?
I'm human. It's true.
I'm sort of similar, I think, particularly the positive intent one. I think it says a bit as well, though, about the culture of where you're working and the way everyone else reacts to similar situations. It begins to wear you down. It's quite difficult to always assume positive intent if everyone around you isn't.
And they're all a bunch of idiots.
Well, I'm not going to say that.
I'm kidding.
But, yeah. I think there is value in that. It's something I'm getting a lot better at, and I think it helps that I work by myself, and the only people I talk to are amazing podcast guests like yourself, who have natural ways of making me feel more positive anyway. And it's weird though, despite everything else that's going on in the world, when it would be so easy right now to go the other way and assume negative intent all of the time, I'm finding I'm getting better and better at just assuming they didn't mean anything by that. No, they didn't do that to cause harm. That's an accidental outcome of something else. They were really trying to do this. And even with the bad leaders, nobody's setting out to be a bad leader. No one does that maliciously, I don't believe. Maybe 1 or 2 out of a few thousand. people just don't know a better way of doing it is the ultimate truth. They're doing the best they can.
Somebody once said to me, and it has echoed in my head ever since, no one is the villain in their own story.
Yeah.
And you're talking about several things though. When you're talking about like being a solopreneur, I don't have to interact with people I don't want to interact with. And I think COVID gave us all this aha of, oh, I don't have to be quite so connected with people that I don't want to be connected. And it's led for a lot of people into a space of isolation. And in America in particular, into an us-them mentality where we've stopped assuming any positive intent from that side, because even a leader who the media is portraying all the worst of or all the best of, depending on which channel you're watching, coats this idea of what am I going to assume as positive intent from that side based on my brainwashing and programming and isolation and choice of who I connect with. And oh my God, I'm going to need a nap after this.
I know exactly what you mean. However, I think maybe my sole exception to this rule is politics and politicians.
Their job is to move their agenda by any means possible, and that often means divide.
It is very difficult, isn't it? It is very difficult to assume positive intent of most politicians, I think. I don't know. I think there's definitely a problem with the system. I try and avoid politics on the podcast, and it is very difficult because it aligns with leadership and lessons of quite easily, doesn't it? But yeah, I think it's fair to say there is something wrong in the way it all works. At a sort of democracy level. I probably don't want to pick into that any further.
Well, I mean, and it's a perfect storm because media, social media, and politics, when combined, does not turn into good things because they all have their own agenda and they know how to work on the absolute worst of each other to create the loudest noise out there. Anyway, yeah, we don't need to delve into politics today.
No. I mean, as a student of history, though, one final point, I think when we see in history moments of dramatic technological shift, that's often, I think, where politics, democracy are most vulnerable, because the person who rides the crest of that technology wave isn't always doing so with good intent. And we saw it in, the 30s with TV broadcast and radio and movies and propaganda as an invention. And one might argue social media was another one. Is AI going to be one as well? Potentially. Is it already? Who knows? But I don't know. Yeah. It's things like that I try not to think about too much because I'd rather sleep at night.
Agreed.
Yeah. Anyway, so last question, my favorite one. It's leadership heroes.
Leadership heroes.
So if you had to pick one person, but it can be anyone you can think of, so they could be alive or dead, past or present, real or fictitious, but someone who, in your opinion, would perfectly embody leadership. So who would that person be for you and why?
Harvey Milk. He had the courage to be the voice of a movement and go up against violent opposition and consistently showing up with an olive branch and with encouragement at the same time. He championed a whole shift in the way America handles a particular topic and opened doors and created spaces. And yeah, I think amazing. And I know that he was assassinated, he's passed, he's died, and it's easy to look back and only see the good. I'm sure there was some moments that were not, but most of the depictions of him are in a cheery, positive, we can do this kind of place. And in so many ways, his leadership is the one that I admire.
Okay, and bonus points. I don't think anyone's chosen him before. So well done.
Sweet.
Yeah, I don't know much about him, actually. I'm going to have to go and study up on that bit of history. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you. This has been so much fun. I've enjoyed every part of our conversation, and I love the combination of communication and leadership coming together. Your perspective, it really winds me up. What can I say? So, no, it's that thing. It's fan thing. Okay, wait, no, it winds me
I
up
don't
in a
think you've
good
used
way.
that quite correctly. Yeah, more practice needed.
Oh my God. So bad to learn here.
Yeah, I mean, the other usage of it is for like a small child who's just getting a bit too overstimulated
Zoomies.
and running around. Yeah, but I don't think that works either in this scenario.
Okay, I might just go off the term and use it how I want to, and it's gonna be avoid chocolate really white.
I mean, that's the beauty of modern language, I guess, isn't it? It's constantly being repurposed. Awesome. Well, Salvatore, thank you so much for being with us. One final small thing I will ask you is if anyone in the audience would like to know more about you, perhaps get a copy of that book, where can they go to learn more to do so?
Thank you for that. And my book, Clear and Compelling, will be released in October. It'll be available at any book distributor that you go to. And if you're interested in connecting with me, you can go to LinkedIn, but more effectively, go to clearandcompellingplaybook.com. Clearandcompellingplaybook.com. I offer the uncertainty framework. We talked about that earlier, as well as other free resources there, and would love to hear from you.
Lovely. And I will put those links down in the show notes so everyone can find them easily as well. Awesome. Well, thank you again so much, and have a great rest of your day.
You too. Take care.
Thank you for being with us today, for tuning in. That's a bit of an old-fashioned phrase, isn't it? We're not on the radio anymore, but for listening or watching, if you're with us on YouTube or Spotify. I hope you found this episode of Leading with Integrity useful, enjoyable, insightful. I certainly learned a few things from Salvatore today. I'm sure you did as well, whether it's from mastering the art of communication to embracing authenticity in leadership and finding your own voice. There's some great wisdom in that episode, in that conversation, and some valuable takeaways that I know any leader at any level will benefit from. If you did find this episode helpful, please do share it with your network. Leave us a review or a rating, however it works on whichever platform it is that you are currently with us on. Don't forget to check out Salvatore's book as well. You will find links to his website and more down there in the show notes. And if you're looking for more strategies on effective communication, Salvatore is your man. And for the new leaders, the emerging leaders, the struggling leaders, managers, directors in the audience, when you're promoted from doing the work to leading the people who do it, the expectations change overnight, but the support rarely shows up. My Integrity Leaders online community provides emerging, new technical leaders just like you with a community of peers, with proven leadership frameworks and grounded mentorship to help you lead effectively from day one. Pay us a visit today and take the next step on your leadership journey with confidence. That website again is leadingwithintegrity.co.uk. It is on the screen if you're watching the video. It's in the show notes as well if you're not. Hope to see you there very soon. That's nearly all I've got time for. Do join me again next week when I'll be learning about the power of simple questions like, what if? With my next guest, personal change and growth advisor, Mr. Doug Fleener. That's all for today. Do remember, true leadership, great communication, starts and ends with integrity and authenticity. So until next time, keep leading with purpose and passion, and as always, be a leader, not a boss.